Hello, my name is Daniel Joseph Bernard, and I will be talking about the short historical background of the conflicts which broke out following the dissolution of the Soviet Union and its former Republic of Georgia. Particularly, I will examine Russia's military involvement and role in these conflicts. The recent conflicts between Georgia and Russia are rooted in history and geopolitics. As seen on the map, Georgia is a country in the Caucasus Mountains, nestled between Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Russia. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, Georgia was one of the first countries to adopt Christianity in the year 330. Yet throughout its history, Georgia was fought over mainly by its Muslim neighbors to the south and was conquered by Turkish sultans, Persian shahs, and Arab emirs. In order to retain its Christianity and preserve its culture, King Irakli II of the House Bagrationi sought help from Russia, its large Orthodox neighbor to the north. King Irakli and Catherine the Great signed the Treaty of Georgivsk, assuring Russian protection against future Muslim invasions. However, when the Persian Qajar dynasty invaded in 1795, Russia violated the treaty, starting the long history of strained Russo-Georgian political relations. Nonetheless, under Alexander I of the House Romanov, Russia annexed the numerous Georgian kingdoms, the last of which was Abkhazia's annexation in 1864. Since that time, all of present-day Georgia has been controlled by the Russian Empire and then by the Soviet Union. Following the collapse of the USSR, Moscow continues to seek influence and control over Georgia. Immediately following the breakup, secessionist movements broke out in the northwestern part of the country, known as Abkhazia, with its capital Sukhumi. The Abkhaz people are distinct from the rest of the Georgian population. As can be seen in the map to the left, their language belongs to the Abkhaz Adyghe, which is a northwestern group of the Ibero-Caucasian language family and uses a Cyrillic script. Georgian, on the other hand, is a Kartvelian language with its own script. Mention of Abkhaz people living in this territory dates to the 1st century from Roman sources. Furthermore, Abkhazia was assigned as part of the Georgian Soviet Socialist Republic only in 1930 under Stalin. Stalin, born Yosef Jugashvili, was a Georgian, and Abkhazians claim he granted Abkhazia to Georgia because of this. Because of the distinctness of the Abkhaz people, they staged an armed revolt in 1992 aimed at achieving independence. However, while the Abkhaz have a claim to independence, Georgians believe that Abkhazia is a historical part of their country and cultural heritage. As outlined in Svetlana Chervonaya's book Conflict in the Caucasus, Georgia, Abkhazia, and the Russian Shadow, accounts of Georgian tribes in the historical region date to the same period as Abkhaz. To Georgians, Abkhazia was not only a region historically under the control of Georgia, but is itself Kartvelian or Georgian land. Even in 1992, over 45% of the population of Abkhazia was comprised of Georgians, compared to under 18% by Apsua or Abkhazians, as presented in the table to the right. In any case, as outlined by Ria Nodia in his paper Causes and Visions of Conflict in Abkhazia, the Apsua began killing Georgians following the armed revolt in 1992, including those who appeared Georgian or had Georgian last names, living in Abkhazia. To make matters worse, the large Armenian population as well as Chechen extremists began assisting the Apsua. Shortly after the conflict broke out, Russia came to the support of the Abkhazians. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, as well as Aaron Demuni's article Internal Displacement and the Conflict in Abkhazia, International Responses and Their Protective Effect, 200 to 250,000 people were displaced and approximately 5,500 people were killed. The dramatic demographic shift can be seen in the graph to the left. The resulting ethnic cleansing of Georgians and the de facto secession of Abkhazia strained Russo-Georgian relations. After the ceasefire in 1994, peacekeepers were deployed primarily from Russia. Over this period of time, residents of Abkhazia were able to easily obtain Russian passports, and by 2002, over half of the region acquired them. As described in Georgi Kandelaki's paper, Georgia's Rose Revolution, A Participant's Perspective, the Rose Revolution broke out in Tbilisi in 2003, calling for a pro-Western change in politics and moving away from Russian political, social, and economic dominance. Mikhail Saakashvili came to power in the aftermath of the revolution and initiated reforms to align Georgia closer with the United States, NATO, and the European Union. In 2006, the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan oil pipeline connecting Azerbaijani oil reserves to Turkish ports on the Mediterranean, as presented on the map, was laid out and crossed the whole of Georgia, bringing control over Azeri oil away from Russia and towards Turkey. These developments angered Russia, and in August of 2008, under President Dmitry Medvedev, Russia invaded Georgia's northern region of Samachablo. As discussed in Nikolai Dubrovin's book, The History of the War and Russian Domination in the Caucasus, Samachablo, or South Ossetia, has always been a historic part of Georgia. Unlike Abkhazia, South Ossetia only came into existence in the second half of the 19th century. About two-thirds of this region is populated by Ossets who speak an Eastern Iranian language and are split between South and North Ossetia. In August of 2008, Russian forces took over Tskhinvali, the region's capital, and fighting erupted between the Ossetians and Russians on one side and Georgians on the other. Fighting also spread to Abkhazia. After only a few days, Russian forces were able to take control and blocked the main road connecting the east to the west, thus splitting the country in half. The international community reacted to the aggression, and eventually a French brokered ceasefire was reached. Nonetheless, Russia recognized both Abkhazia and South Ossetia as independent republics and continues to have a military presence in both breakaway regions. Hopefully, Russia and Georgia will be able to find common ground and resolve the conflict. After all, the two countries have a shared history, religion, and mutual cultural understanding.